Okay, today we are going to begin the last TEK for our STAR 10-day out that you'll be doing in science. We're going to be doing 6.7a, which is generate, evaluate numerical expressions. Remember, expressions are without equal signs, and using order of operations, including whole numbers, exponents, and prime factorization. Whole numbers, are just our regular numbers. Exponents are where we have a square root, a cube root, and so on. And prime factorization is trying to find which numbers are prime that go into our main number. Again, I'm going to give you examples of each one of those. On 6.7d, we're going to generate equivalent expressions, so equal expressions, using the properties of operations inverse, identity, commutative, and associative, and distributive, okay? So what you're going to need before we even begin is you're going to need this little rule sheet that is, right here, and it has all the different rules on it, okay? And we're going to quickly go over this because you have not seen this. You might have seen it last year, or if you've actually studied any of it, you might see. But if you look, commutative property for addition, it's the same description for multiplication, just you're multiplying instead of adding, okay? So it's changing the order of the add-ins does not change the sum, okay? So in other words, they have the same exact sum, it just flips what you're adding or multiplying. So 2 plus 5, we know is 7. So no matter if I flip it and do 5 plus 2, it's still 7. So if you notice, all they did was flip what they were adding. And that's commutative property. Okay, think about when you're commuting from one place to another. 2 is commuted over here to the other side. Same thing for multiplication. Negative 3 times 8 times 8 times negative 3 is still negative 24 no matter how you do it. Alright? For associative property, it's changing the grouping of the add-ins, okay? So look, here we have negative 3 plus 5 in the parentheses and the 2 on the outside, but if you notice, what they did is they moved the parentheses over. So they moved it from the first 2 to the last 2, okay? And it's still, the sum does not change, so no matter what I do, I'm still going to get the same sum. Same thing for multiplying. They did the exact same thing. They just took the parentheses, picked it up, and moved it to the last part. Okay, that's for associative property. For distributive property, you have seen this. I know for a fact you have seen this because I've discussed it. So what you do is you're going to take this number on the outside and you're going to multiply it into each piece, just like this. But a lot of times you'll see a letter like this. So it'll be like 3x plus 2, which would equal 3x plus 6. So if you want to add that on there, you can. So that's distributive property. It's when I'm taking this outside number and I'm distributing it inside and getting and multiplying. Okay? Identity property for addition is adding 0 and any number. So the only way you can get itself is by 0. Multiplying is opposite. The only thing you can get itself is by 1. So that's what they're doing here, okay? For inverse property, it's the sum of an integer and its additive inverse. So think of 0 pair. See? 6 plus negative make 0. Positive and negative make 0. And that's the 0 property for multiplication. Anything multiplied by 0 is 0. Okay? So this is what we're going to start with. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's pull this first page out that says, what is the value of the expressions shown below? Okay, this is order of operations. So we're going to be doing our PEMDAS. If you don't have that out, you need to pull that one out. That's this one right here. So do we have any parentheses? No. Do we have an exponent? Yes. Here's our exponent. So this is really 4 times 4, which would be 16. So we'll rewrite it, 14 plus 106 divided by 2 times 16. Guys, I highly recommend you rewrite them each time instead of trying to figure it out in your mind, okay? It's easier when you see it. So next would be either multiplication and division, whichever comes first from left to right. So if I'm going this way, my first one is 106 divided by 2. So, well, what's 106 divided by 2? That is 53. Okay, so now we have 14 plus 53 times 16. Okay, so the next thing would be multiplication. So 53 times 16 is 848. So we have 14 plus 848 equals what? Well, let's just add 14 to that. That is 864. 2. So our answer would be B. Do you see how I did this step by step? I know it's a little bit more work, but it makes it easier for you to see, okay? Let's look at the next one. It looks like it's another PEMDAS because we have parentheses and multiply and all this added together. I mean, it's order of operations, okay? And it says, all it's telling us here is Ashley had a bag that contained 22 apples. She put 4 of the apples in her sister's lunch, so she took that away. She put 3 times as many apples in the refrigerator as she put in her sister's lunchbox. She used the rest of the apples to make apple juice. So guys, this is a lot of wording just for you to solve this. So let's do that. Okay, so parentheses is first. We have to do what's inside the parentheses. So inside the parentheses, do we have exponents? No. Do we have multiplication or division? Yes. Which one's first? Multiply. So 4 times 3 is 12. So now we have 4 plus 12. Well, what's 4 plus 12? 16. So now we have 22 minus 16. Well, what's 22 minus 16? That is 6. So our answer is 6. She had 6 apples to make apple juice. Super easy, guys. Step by step. Remember your rules. Parentheses first. Exponents. Multiplication or division depending on which way you're going, left or right. Same thing for adding and subtracting. Alright, let's look at this next one. This is actually a rule, a math rule. So we'll pull out our little properties here. So they're right here next to us so we can take a look at them and see what it says. Which expression is equivalent to 25 divided by 2 plus x? You remember here we are multiplying and dividing and adding. So we got to see which one of these would be equivalent to this, so equal to this. You remember they said that the sum doesn't change. The only time the sum changes is when you're doing distributive property. Well, this is not distributive property. This is not identity property. So those are the only times that the sum changes. So let's think about this. Inside we have x plus 2 and 25. Well, here this is the same thing, just turned around. This is the same thing, just turned around. This would be completely different because 25 divided by 2 would give you a decimal. That's not going to equal that. This is 25 divided by 2 and 25 divided by x. Well, that can't happen because they're saying we're going to distribute that through, and we can't distribute that because there's an imaginary 1 right there, which wouldn't make any sense. So actually, it looks like you have 2. This should have been changed somewhere, and it wasn't. So it's actually going to be both of these, okay? So it's A and B. Alright, let's move on to the next one, which is which 2 expressions are equivalent? Okay, so again, is it commutative? Did they change their additives? No. If you look, none of them did that, okay? Is it associative? Did they change the parentheses? This one kind of did, but it went backwards, and with associative it doesn't normally do that, so it's not that. Okay, so look about distributive. Well, the only one that really could be distributive is this one, and that's 5 times 5, which is correct, and 5 times x, which is correct. So our answer would be A. Guys, you just really got to know the properties so you know which one to pick, okay? Here it says, which expression is equivalent to this? Well, this is an example of distributive. We have a number on the outside that we have to distribute through. So 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 8, when you do 4 times 8, what do you get? What is 4 times 8? That's 32. So it's plus 32. Okay? So, which one of these? Okay. So, the actual answer should be this one because this should be a 32, not a 24. So, 4x plus 32, so your answer would be D. They tried to do it, but the number was incorrect. So your answer is D on that one. Alright, so it looks like we have taken care of 6.7a and 6.7d. Please move on, practice, and then try taking the test. You get 2 times to take it. Try taking it twice. Try to score your highest you possibly can. If we have any trouble, we'll pull you for workshops before STAR. If you have any questions, please get with me as soon as you can. Have a great day.